a road map.
Yeah, I would say a Netflix code, right? An automatic little second screen or something like that.
Hand sanitizer would definitely be in my bag.
Yeah.
So we're putting these in the chat?
Yeah, go ahead. Just a way of getting to know you and the work that you do. And I invite you to list up to 3 accessories. I'm starting to see a lot of familiar faces from last week, which is nice.
Okay, Leslie, do you want to do more with this, or do you want me to introduce this?
I think we're good. I mean, I think I'll give people a couple more seconds just to write what they would add.
Great.
Get started by 5 after. That's perfect.
Great.
And I will. A swag hoodie. I like that. Not answering emails. These are great. Second screen and bubble tea. We have bubble tea near me. That. I especially like that. Bottle of wine, ibuprofen, and lots of patience. Excellent. So sweet. Coffee cup, coveted Bluetooth mug. Love that. A walkie-talkie. That's very much for camps. I love my walkie-talkie when I'm at camp. It clips right onto my shoulder, you know, right there.
You feel immediately so much more important, just automatically.
It's really true. I love walkie-talkies and the power the walkie gives me. It is a beautiful, simple pleasure of life.
Do you feel like everyone is here?
Yeah, I think, oh, here comes one more person. But yeah, I think we can go ahead and get started.
Okay, I'm going to stop the share now. Thank you
okay.
for obliging. That was so nice.
So thank you, everybody, for being here again. It makes me happy every week when you come back. But we are joined again by Leslie Rosen. She was here last week, kind of observing our conversation, and is going to be here today to lead us in some thinking around shared mission and goals for the teen community. I am going to put in the chat the sustainability diagnostic tool that, hold on, getting emails, that JumpSpark is using right now to kind of gauge the sustainability of the work that we are doing in the teen space to really continue to make teens a priority in our community. I don't have to tell any of you how important teens are kind of in the whole Jewish world. And we want to make sure that our community knows that and is responding and is supporting that. Leslie is an amazing person to be leading us in this work. As I may or may not have mentioned last time, Leslie was actually my coach in a program that I did on leadership through Spurtis. And so I got to work with her personally and just know what a gift that's going to be to all of us. She does a lot of consulting in this space. She can say more about her work specifically, but she is an amazing asset for us to have in beginning to think about this work. And I just want to really honor that this is a big step for the teen community in Atlanta, right? Like this was not possible a year ago, but because all of you are so committed and are showing up and have begun really the work of networking and connecting with each other, I just feel like we are at this amazing moment where we have this great group of people who are invested and ready to even begin the process of thinking about shared mission and goals. So I just want to really honor and appreciate that all of you are here and invested in this work. And I know that this group of folks can achieve amazing things and really deeply cares about the work. So I'm so excited to be on this journey with all of you. And I'm going to hand it off to Leslie because I promised her I wouldn't talk too much.
Good. It's all good. Everybody can hear, sound is strong. Okay, awesome. I really want to use this opportunity to build on what Kelly had said and where Jump Spark is going. And the way I understand the next steps, if you look at the sustainability diagnostic tool, you'll see right up there at the front is that mission and shared goals. And what we're going to do today is really kind of jump in. I know that you have all had a chance to get to know each other in different contexts and share and overlap and do things in terms of professional development and share some of the areas where you are working together. And this is going to be it's going to be a little bit more of that. I'm going to facilitate a conversation with you about the overlapping goals and the work in your community. So I want to talk to you a little bit, maybe in your independent organizations, maybe somewhere else in your life, you have done mission, you've been part of a strategic plan that worked on visioning. Right now, I'm going to put all of you into gallery mode so I can look at your faces while I'm talking to you. I want to encourage you to do the same and be in gallery mode so you can look at your colleagues. Really want to focus on a couple of things. Talk to you about what mission is. Mission is the business of what you do every day, the business of planning programs to educate teens about Jewish heritage, the business of facilitating community service activities so that your teens can actively take part in tikkun olam and community service and community action, the business of planning educational programs around mental health to support your teens, to acknowledge where families may be struggling, to provide resources. The business of what you do is your mission. It's the mission of your organization. It's the mission of what gets you up every day, the work that you do. Some of us are in administrative capacities. So the mission of what we do is answering phone calls so that our parents and our clients and our families and our teens can get the information and resources that they need. Or we're booking venues or we're arranging transportation so that our families can get to where they need to get, so that our teens can get the resources and have actions and results. So I want you to start to think about that in terms of the business and the mission of where you are. The vision is if the stars were aligned and money was no object and the world wasn't under pandemic and COVID and we had all access all the time to be the best that we could be, what would we be? How many teens would we be serving? How many families we would be reaching? We would be affecting change in such a positive way in our community. So what I'm going to do right now is share two samples of business kind of missions so you can start to think about some of the language. Then I'm going to pop up an image and I'll share a little bit about what that image is. We're going to do a little bit of quiet reflecting for each of yourselves to begin to think about what it is, what your work looks like in a context of a community. And it won't necessarily look like community right at first, but we'll start to engage with that. And then as time allows, we'll start to share out. So I'm going to share Facebook's mission. I should have put this on a slide on a screen, but apologize. Facebook's mission is to give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together. People use Facebook to stay connected with family and friends, to discover what's going on in the world, and to share and express what matters to them. So Facebook has really done everything like building community, making the world feel smaller, staying connected, discovering what's going on in the world, and people sharing what's meaningful to them. So keep that language in your mind as you begin to sort of build out what it is when we share what it is that you do. The second one is Panera Bread. I don't know if that's popular down in Atlanta, if you have that. Okay. Panera Bread. First of all, I love the company. I love what they stand for, and their mission and the outgrowth of Panera Bread also was a lot about serving the community and giving back. But here's what Panera Bread says. Panera Bread says, we are unified around our purpose. Good eating brings out the best in all of us. We believe in raising and serving food that is good and good for you. Panera flourishes because of the commitment and warmth of our associates. good food and a healthy environment go hand in hand. So when you think about what it is that you're engaged in and how you build out your vision, I want you to start to think about, again, that business of what you do, what you're affecting, how your impact. So I want to share four little things. One is, and I'll put this in the chat. One is outcome. What's your impact? Who are you trying to, do you serve the teens? Do you serve the families? Do you serve women and girls? Do you serve a certain gender identity? I want you to think about the outcome, the output. I also want you to think about your twist, your specialty, and we're going to get into this as we dig deeper. I want you to think about your quantity, and I'm going to put human touch for the last one. Okay. I am going to share my screen and then we're going to get moving on this. Actually, just going to be popping up an image. Can everybody see this image? Okay. So I want to tell you a little bit about this image. If you've seen it before, we are not doing any psychological diagnostic things. This is a beautiful image. It is by Pip Wilson, who is a psychologist, does a lot of social emotional engagement, and it's used as a tool to dig deep. And so I really want right now everybody to take a moment or few and find your professional self, meaning your job, your title, your roles and responsibilities, not the who you are in this. So I would look at the role that you have within the organization that you currently have and think about the business of what you're doing every day. Find yourself on this map. Find yourself, I call them gingerbread men, but actually the term for this artist is they're blobs, but I will just still refer to them as gingerbread people because of the coloring. And look at this image and start to think about what you do. We talked about those four areas. So the outcome, defining what your end product is. So if I am somebody at the, I'm gonna pick on Kelly right now. So I'm thinking about Kelly as the director of JumpSpark. I'm saying that I believe that Kelly would be up at the top, number 20. Kelly is overseeing the various different structures in this role of all the partners who are on the scene. That is what one go to. Or you could say the role of JumpSpark is to be here at number 17 with everybody else on their shoulder, with everybody else supporting the resources, supporting the network. You could go in any direction that you want, but the goal is to really start to think about who am I in this space and what is my output? Why am I in this space and not this space? Or if it's difficult and you see that there are outliers in this image, I want to encourage you to think that those might be your clients. So you could either see yourself in this space or you could see your clients and start to describe the work that you're doing. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes here, maybe 2 minutes, to start to do some quiet reflections. And I want you to answer those questions. What is my organization doing? Where am I on this chart? What is my outcome? What is my unique selling point and my unique twist? How many people am I serving? Am I serving chapters, groups, agencies, etc.? And what's my human touch? And then we're going to do an open share where people will unmute themselves and share. As you begin to flesh out your own answers to some of these questions, I want you to begin to really use the language of how you're serving teens in Atlanta. And that will help us come together with some of the shared business that we do. I'll give it just one more minute. Hopefully this will work. I'm going to put a link to a Jamboard into, let me know if that people can log into that.
Can you explain again what twist is?
What's your unique selling point? Who's your unique niche of audience? Are you working with middle schoolers? Are you working with high schoolers? Are you working with women and girls? Are you working with parents? Are you uniquely focused on schools? Are you uniquely focused on social life? Thank you. Let me see if I can open this. Should have share feature. Let's try this again. This is the #1 reason why Jamboards don't get shared so easily. How's that? Can everybody open that? If you are on a desktop, I want to encourage you to go to the Jamboard link. So if you land on the first page, you'll see if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And what's been built by JumpSpark is this incredible community that's really going to go far together. And it's great that you're all here so we can start to get on the same page. So I know some of you have just joined and we're talking about a couple interesting pieces of the work. We're going to be moving on to slide #3. If you can move to slide #3, where our gingerbreads are located. And this is going to be so fun. So I want to encourage you. I'm not sure, Kelly, how the best way to, I don't want to call on people, but I would love to get the conversation started and invite individuals to unmute themselves, to share out where they see themselves, and if they feel so inclined to share by posting on to the Jamboard.
So you are looking for folks to share the number of the person that they were in the.
Yeah. So
okay.
I'm going to give an example. So right now, I would see myself as number 20 and facilitating this conversation. My role here is to bring everyone together. And specifically with teens, I would say X, Y, and Z. And this is the business of what I do. So I want to invite you, or I mean, I'm happy to call on people, but I don't love to do that. I'd love to have a brave volunteer to go first and try this out. Who are you in this space professionally? What is your organization doing? What are the unique selling points? What are the outcomes?
I'm going to jump in because,
Thank you.
why not? Okay.
Thank you, Nancy.
First of all, I love that graphic. And one of the things, before I share with you my number, one of the things that I was thinking of was I'm a different number at different, at different points.
Yes.
So the number where I feel I am today could be different than even another day when I'm immersed in another aspect of my job, right?
Okay. Mhm.
So, my, of course, those of you who know me, I'm 11 or 12, okay? But sometimes I'm 5, right? So, based on what I use, I'm being trained by our rabbi, really, to be able to like always go back to our mission. And our mission of the synod. By the way, I don't know, Leslie, I am the director of congregational learning at a conservative synagogue at Shereth Israel here.
Okay.
I also oversee the youth, not only the families and kids, but also like the youth department. But the overarching mission is Congregation Shereth Israel connects people to meaningful living through Judaism. So I see myself as a connector, and our vision, which I actually wanted to see if I don't even have to tell you what my vision is. So I see myself as a connector, but I also see myself as an conductor, of the whole orchestra. So that might also put me at 20. So I'm kind of all over the place.
Okay, great.
How does that, did I answer everything?
It's
Not
a
really.
great start, and
Yeah.
we're gonna dig even a little bit deeper, but keep going. I love it. Another volunteer.
I'll go. I think of myself as a number 2,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
which technically would be funny for the people who work for me, because I would not do well as a number 2. But I think what I like about it is it fills the mission of my business, my program, is just to allow people to have experiences that they then translate into their own beliefs, thoughts, and views. But then I'm also finding the larger part of my job is working with, as I'm bringing on more full-time staff, is developing them as well. So it's always seems to be pushing people or pulling or boosting people up either way, anyway.
Billy, tell me your role with teens in the community.
I don't really have a specific role in this community. In the community, I live here, but mine's
Yes,
more
you
of a nationwide program
Okay.
of dealing with. During the summer, we run a summer program that goes across America, teaching about history, politics, and activism by engaging with all sides of issues. And then during the academic year, it's leading civil rights trips through the American South for teenagers up through empty nesters.
Okay, so your mission is program service opportunities, right?
Yeah, it's educational travel. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Who's next? I welcome you. Or you want to popcorn it to someone else, Billy?
Who do I want to give it to? Well, I thought about Rebecca waking up in a panic today because for some reason, Rebecca, I woke up in a panic thinking that Purim off Ponce was last weekend. I totally missed it. And I was like, that very well could have happened. So you've been on
I've
my
had
mind.
that panic before.
You've been on my mind for like 3 hours. I did not want to check my calendar just in fear of that. I thought if I denied it long enough, it would be true that I didn't miss it. So
March 13. Don't worry about that.
Believe me, I checked. I held my breath.
Thank you. So I'm Rebecca Staplewax. I am the executive director at Sojourn, the Southern Jewish Resource Network for Gender and Sexual Diversity. And I was thinking that I was the sort of 11, 12 as well, and knowing that there's different pieces, but that feeling of connection, that feeling of our mission is to affirm and empower LGBTQ people across the South. And we do that by building inclusive communities inspired by Jewish and universal values. And so it feels like, although there's sort of this leadership role, but there's this, I put it in the chat earlier about like authenticity and really seeing people who they are on a level with you, and the humanity in others, and learning from one another as opposed to being the expert on other people's experience.
And what number did you say you were there?
11 or 12. I don't know which one has anything different than the other, but feeling like there's that connection, that close connection, because we're getting into people's really identities and that strong, intimate part of oneself.
Right. I think you're going to see that identity development is going to be something that will come up also later. Great. You want to popcorn it to someone else?
Sure.
The hard part about inviting everyone to speak, the conversation will be richer and it'll be a little bit deeper if everyone has an opportunity.
Yeah. How about you, Talia?
I just had a feeling that it would be me. I had a feeling. So I was actually thinking that at least in my role, which is a little bit, our youth program at the moment is a little bit newer. Well, it is newer. We've completely restructured. So I see myself and the people that I work with as number 2, and our youth program as number 3. Like being there to support it and to help it grow and like reach the top of the tree is kind of where I'm seeing it as. I guess like our overall outcome is, I think, as what is almost everybody else's goal is, you know, being a support for the teens and for the community and for the people that we're striving to work with, but to also be like a teacher and an educator and somebody to kind of support them through middle school or high school or wherever we're at.
Right. And did you say this is the program that you work with?
Oh, yes, it's Temple Sinai in Atlanta, and our youth program is called HUB, which is an acronym for a much longer Hebrew phrase, which is very hard for me to say.
Okay.
But it means leadership through kindness and wisdom in English.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to invite, though, obviously when people are talking, it's very hard to populate this document, but I've been sort of putting in what people have been saying. If you want to go ahead and populate your own while you're getting ready to speak so that you have something to refer to, it's also very helpful. Go on. Go ahead, Talia, popcorn it to someone who hasn't had a chance to speak yet.
Okay, I'm going to popcorn it to Hannah in the city camps.
I knew it. Thank you. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit multitasking today, trying to get an assignment that's due in 30 minutes in, but I'm going to do my best here. I think that my role in the city camps, which is a day camp, a pluralistic, inclusive day camp with a bunch of campuses, I think my role is usually number 10. I'm usually like the outward person on the little platform. I get to lead a lot of things and I get to like represent our organization in the community. I also love the stage, so I kind of just want to be there. It made me happy, so that's where I want to be. So that's where I'm at. And sorry, what else do I need to answer?
More specifically about what it is what is the transformation of, like, where does Jump Spark, where do the work that you do with teens, where is that here? What's your outcome? Like what happens as a result of participating in your programs?
Got it. So I really feel, I think Nancy said this, but like 11 and 12, the people like hugging each other. I feel like for me, more than the 18, 19 on the shoulder thing, for me, Jump Spark feels more like the 11 and 12, both in like information transfer and like kindness and compassion and friendship. Like people actually care about me there and I actually care about them. And then also in like helping me find resources and other people to work with. And yeah, I feel like that's a really big partnership. And I think maybe federation for me in the ecosystem is more of the shoulder guy. In that role, I see some nods, so thank you for that validation because I am really trying.
So when you refer to the shoulder person, you're referring to 17 maybe?
Yes, 17,
18.
I think 17 and 18, those guys.
Yeah, I'm just quickly putting in some notes, but I'm mindful of like how laborious this can be for everybody. So I want to encourage everybody to really to go ahead and put themselves on here to find themselves. And go ahead. I want to invite you. I miss your first name because it just says in the city
Oh,
camp.
I'm so sorry. I'm Hannah and Leslie. This is really cool. I screenshotted this so I can do it with my team so everybody can, you know, see who's falling.
His name is Pip. Is his last name Pip Wilson, and you can find lots of different images and books and
Really
resources.
cool, really cool exercise. I love it.
So I want to encourage somebody next to go ahead, Hannah, popcorn it to maybe.
Popcorn, popcorn. Who likes popcorn? Susie does. Oh, did we already talk about Jump Spark though?
Pick someone not Jump Spark.
That's what I was just.
There's a few of us.
You know what? Amy has given me some nice vibes in those glasses. Amy, take it away.
Also Jump Spark.
Oh,
sorry. we roll deep. We roll deep, Jump Spark.
Steven, you're looking real good today, sir. Do you like popcorn? Popcorn.
I like listening to you sing about popcorn. So, can that be the option? Whenever Hannah sings, it puts a smile on everyone's face. So thank you for that, Hannah. I'm going to kind of echo, I really like what Nancy said. And I think it's like difficult for me to kind of pick one over the other because I feel like where Nancy said it's kind of every day. I feel like every hour I could be like a different number on this tree. Right now I'm feeling a lot like, oh goodness, like a combination of number 1 and I think it's number 9, kind of like on the branch.
Yeah.
While I don't know about 9's facial expression because it's a little bit small on my screen, I feel like number 9 is kind of like taking everything in and looking around at the whole tree. And maybe this is not what it's supposed to be doing, but kind of figuring out where everyone else's place is. And maybe me in my head, I'm thinking that number 9 and number 1 are both kind of figuring out where they can be the most help, where they can like step in to help all of the other gingerbread people / numbers.
And can you tell me more about your organization and teens?
Yes. So right now I am the youth director at Congregation Etz Chaim, which is a conservative synagogue in Marietta. I work with children in kindergarten through 12th grade, spread amongst 4 youth groups, and just our youth department in general. And I think as far as my kids and kind of like Jump Spark helping in our community, I feel like Jump Spark is like a number 7. I think that's a 7. Yeah, I think that's number 7. For me, I feel like Jump Spark is always like the helping hand. They're ready to help with like anything from professional development to like figuring out partnerships, or like we have this this paperwork you can use for that kind of like policy deal. I feel like they're always like that hand help over the bridge, if that makes sense.
Excellent. So lucky to have Jump Spark. All right, popcorn it to someone who hasn't spoken yet.
Trying to make Kelly's face turn red, and I think I'm getting close. I will jump.
I'm gonna pick number 7 for myself, so I'm glad that you did. I feel very seen.
Yes. I will pass it over to Rabbi Koenigsberg. Oh, did he just freeze as I called on him? Hillel, it's all yours.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. My internet is being ridiculous.
You can feel free to. Did you put something? If you can't speak, just
which is great because I think like I'm number 8.
Is that 8?
You can go ahead and, if you're freezing up, put a sticky and fill out your content on and put it on the Jamboard. Poor Hillel.
And maybe take off your video. That might speed up your
Looks like he's frozen there.
He just left. I just let him back in. So he should be coming back in a second.
So do we want to have someone else speak until he's settled?
Here, I'm here now. I'm here now. I heard you were saying something, but it was like so ridiculous on my computer. I'm on my phone now, but which is great because I was gonna say that I'm number 8, because professionally and just personally, as I've jumped off this call now 3 times because like I had to run upstairs to my napping child to change a poopy diaper, and my wife is picking up some stuff from the supermarket and I couldn't get the parking brake down, and so I'm sometimes facing the wrong direction and my computer's not working, but also because I feel like sometimes as we are like in this coronavirus stage and trying to think about how to engage our youth and trying to figure out kind of what would bring especially middle school age kids to a computer again, or a very distanced in-person experience, maybe even if our task force allows it. I sometimes feel like I'm just like trying to find the tree and like, I didn't even get the memo that everyone's facing the other direction. So I think that's kind of where I'm at. I'm the associate rabbi at B'nai Torah, and part of my portfolio involves working with our 3rd, 4th, 5th graders, our middle schoolers, and in theory, we're trying to get some teen programming off the ground. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Great. And feel free to go in and edit any of these stickies. I'm just kind of catching a little bit as you're speaking. If we were in person, I'd be writing them on the whiteboards. So go ahead, feel free to throw it to someone else.
Yeah, and because I haven't been here and I'm like jumping in and out, I'm not sure I know who's necessarily hasn't gone yet. So if someone wants to and I can't even see everyone on my screen at one time.
Okay, I'll call for you. I'll call on Lauren. Lauren, you're up.
Yeah,
I call on Lauren.
Hello. And I also am pretty sure that most people went at this point. So when it's my turn to pick, I might need some help too. Okay. So I would say I am Lauren Davis, and I am the Youth Engagement Coordinator at Temple Kolemeth in Marietta. We are also a new team. So we have a new religious school director, rabbi, and me as the new youth engagement. So there's a lot of changes, and what we're focused on is engagement of young families and making sure that they get that experience that we want them to have from the very beginning. I would say, and I work with all ages though. So I would say that right now I'm sorry, I literally just lost the page. I'm a combination, I would say. I'm kind of always in between 11 and 12. Like, I feel like I don't have enough boundaries. And so even in like teens will like text me really late at night and I just answer them, like I just give in. So I'm kind of always there as like someone that they can talk to or if they need something. And then in my professional, other than that, I would say that I am also number 17. So number 17 is the person holding someone. So I kind of feel like that sometimes as well, that I'm just kind of helping people through things and making sure that they feel connected to each other. And I would say that the outcome, we're talking about like the desired outcome, right?
I want you to think about like if Panera bakes bread. I missed this connection a little bit earlier. If Panera bakes bread, what do? You provide resources, do you provide education, do you provide access? Just simply, you said I'm helping families, I'm helping I'm be accessible to teens. So like those pieces.
Okay, yeah.
You're doing great.
I mean, support is kind of where my mindset is at. I am, in addition to like programming and making sure they're having a good time, like I always really feel the need to be a support system for them, making sure that they're okay and that kind of thing. And I would say with the Jump Spark aspect, that Jump Spark would be a number 2 for us, which is the leg up, because already, and I've only been in this job for 6 months, Jump Spark has helped me do so many things like grants, programming, ideas, and having this community to like reach out to as well. So I would say that for us, Jump Spark is definitely a number 2.
Awesome.
I don't know if there's anything else.
That's really great. You're all hitting it.
All right,
I think there's a few people. Julie, we haven't heard from Julie, and maybe 1 or 2 other people.
I'll popcorn it to Julie.
Thank you. Hi. So I work at Jewish Family and Career Services. I'm a therapist there. I do not work with teens, but I'm the liaison for those that do. And our agency does so much like across the board, but it's, mostly helping families, I guess, not in the clinical department. I think I'm trying to focus on the clinical department. So, so I would just say, I'll go to my number in a second, but we help with all sorts of things, but it's like emotional support. I love just all the things you guys were talking about, we try and do too. So like identity building, awareness, stress relief, like managing of any emotional symptoms or physical symptoms that people are having, the mind-body connection, right? And I think, something that's unique is we have so many clinicians on staff, so we have lots of different approaches and different ways that we can work with teens, lots of clinicians that specifically do work with teens as well, and creating groups, individual ways we can touch, individually and with groups and with families, yeah, so serving clients in need is basically what our organization is doing. That was kind of my overarching
And what
statement
about
there.
a number for your
Yeah,
profession?
so my number, so I love this, but and I guess now we're kind of varying it a little bit, but like I could relate to all of these because it was, it was hard for me, maybe as a therapist, to like separate out personally and professionally, because I feel like so many personally, like I'm falling out of the tree sometimes, or right, but or I'm at the top, I feel like a 20, but if it's just about like my role, I think as the therapist in our agency, we do so many of these different things, and but if I were to narrow it down, I would say number 7, like kind of reaching up, is how I feel more. It's like reaching up, trying to help. But there's also 11 and 12, there's 17, there's 20, there's even 14, like reaching down to try and help the people that are falling, I feel like, or that's how I'm understanding that one. So I didn't type in anything because I felt like that was a lot of numbers to try and explain and put in there. So
I threw it all in.
Okay.
You did a great job really explaining it. And I think each of you too. Thank you, Julie. This was terrific.
Thanks.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going if there was more you missed.
No, that was the bottom line. Thanks.
Anyone else who hasn't had a chance to go? I know we were putting Jump Spark in its own category.
Well, Amy from Jump Spark wanted to go. So I jumped in and said not Jump Spark, but but Amy wants to go. So let Amy go.
Well, I want to go.
I'd be happy to go after you, Amy.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. I don't usually come to these, but I wanted to, first of all, introduce myself to those of you who don't know me, because I've been with Jump Spark for a little less than a year, and I'm the navigating parenthood coordinator. So it's interesting because I think I'm very much on the same wavelength. I really see myself as number 7, if I'm and I see number 6 as that parent of teens who is just like holding on for dear life, and I'm trying to offer them some support, and specifically connection to the community, and I would say, like, in my work, my outcome would be to really help parents of teens feel supported and sort of more confident as parents and more connected with each other. And in terms of, again, like serving parents of teens and tweens, quantification would be creating a space for every parent who really wants to enter that space. And it doesn't have to be a physical space, but just with different resources and different relationships and connections. And for the human touch, trying to connect to them on several different levels, whether it's like putting out helpful resources through social media or creating one-on-one interactions, like, and relationships, and then and throughout the community organization. So that's why I really wanted to just tell you that I'm here and that I want to support all of your work that you do with parents of tweens and teens, and be able to offer what Jump Spark is doing as resources to you and to them. And just to know that, like, what I really am trying to do is sort of build this community one parent at a time, just by making connections and making connections between them. And so, so yeah, I just want to say hello.
And what were your numbers? Which were your early ones?
So I sort of see myself as 7 and a little bit as 14, because I think that as a parent of teens and trying to support other parents of teens, sometimes you just feel like you're totally failing, that you're falling, and we're hoping that we can be a sort of a safety net for them.
Yeah. And it's really funny because I don't think of 7. I think of 7 sometimes as like reaching up to 6 to say like, I need your help, bring me up. So it's a little bit of like and you could see it both ways. And that's why this is so, so wonderful. Have you heard from everyone who wants?
I have not yet gone.
Oh, please do.
I don't know. Do you see me? Because I'm on my phone and I've got a wonky screen.
I see just say Tracy's iPhone.
Ah, you don't see a face. Okay. I'm going to make myself visible very quickly.
Hi.
Okay. Hello there. I am not able, because I'm on my phone, to see you and the picture at the same time, but I think I've got the picture down. I'm Tracy Bernstein. I am the director of Nourishing the Soul workshops. And as such, I play many, many roles. I wear many, many hats. And so I think I fit into several, at least, numbers on this tree.
Okay.
I think my ideal branch doesn't exist in the picture, and that is the image of 16 standing near 17 and 18 who are holding each other up, that I would be 16 in that configuration, but I think one branch down by the 10 and 11 would be my preference. If that threesome were down by 10 and 11, that would be my sweet spot. And the reason I say that is my workshops, the ones that are designed for 7th graders pre-B'nai Mitzvah and their parents, are designed, and so I'm so excited to come after you, Amy, because we have much to speak about. They're really designed to speak with these young Jewish adults and tangentially their parents about what it means to them to be a person in the Jewish community who makes their own choices as young adults and understands that there's a breadth of opportunity and wisdom and foundation available to them throughout the rest of their lives that they can return to in whatever ways they want to and however frequently they want to, that they understand their connection to it and they understand really what Judaism is offering them. And so that's one piece of the puzzle. The other piece is organizationally, I'm a one-person organization, basically. And so, I'm at the very bottom and the very top of the tree. And I love being next to the people lifting each other and holding each other, because that's very much what my conversations with adults and adolescents are based on, drawing from the tradition. And lastly, I think the question was, what role does Jump Spark play? And I don't have the tree in front of me, but I agree with both. I believe it was the 6 reaching down to pull up and the 2 pushing up, elevating others. I think both are true. I don't want to say 2 completely, though they are foundational, because I think they're on a bit of a higher rung and they elevate others to that next rung for themselves as well.
Excellent. So let me ask you a sort of clarifying question. When you talked about moving, 17 and 18 are kind of one holding on each other on piggyback shoulders. 16 is next door. You like the idea of, instead of 16 being in the up and down, the 16 being next to the side by side.
Correct, because I'm facilitating relationship building and understanding of oneself.
Okay, hopefully I got those notes correctly and I just put it on the sticky board there. So how are we doing? I'm sort of doing a check-in. I know the time goes really fast on these activities. Did everybody have a chance to speak? Does anybody want to add something to the Jamboard sticky page that wasn't already there or wants to go in and maybe? Okay, fantastic. And I did see somebody put number 11, encouraging growth and compassion with youth. And really, we really only have a small handful of time left. I want to encourage you to sort of move over to the third page, which is the work that we have in common, the mission and our shared vision. And just go ahead. We're going to just do this as a blitz round because I heard so much, and you can feel free to flip between the two pages. I heard identity development, I heard programming, I heard resources, I had support. I want you to put your work in the mission category, the day-to-day stuff. You take the Jamboard sticky and place your page there and just write support for young families, for example, one of you said, and put that in the mission category. And we're going to then talk about these sort of shared visions. Ideally, we're going to spend maybe the last 3 minutes just talking about sharing a vision for what kind of resources and support that JumpSpark is, does, and has. Yep. Thank you for putting this. All right. Bye, Stephen. Thank you. Yeah, feel free to use Pip anytime.
Could we also use the chat for some reason? I can't figure out Jamboard right now. It's not opening.
Yeah, sure.
Can we also use chat as a resource?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You might have to refresh you may have to refresh your Jamboard if you want to participate there. These are really excellent. Enriching and encouraging families in their Jewish journeys. Ditto, I like that. Connection to Judaism, support, educational trips to empower and inspire people to get involved in social justice, support for young families, growth. I didn't see anything there specifically about identity development. Lots of you working in identity development, developing moral and ethical young adults. Would love to see some more in identity, who I am. Thank you. Connection to other Jewish teens and community. Is anybody just doing social programming? Is anybody doing exclusively when we talk about support? So we talk about helping people feel connected socially, emotionally, having them be rooted in their Jewish identity. I know a number of you are working in synagogue-based youth education, and I'm gonna pull it. Keep feel free. I love that. Game nights, esports, connecting Jewish teens through their own hobbies. Fantastic. That's so fantastic. And this is so great. This is so terrific. So I think that you understand what it is and why we're here and why JumpSpark is bringing these professionals in the places where you sit together, and why JumpSpark is uniquely positioned to continue to offer resources and training and grants and all kinds of connections to each other, because there's an opportunity for overlap. The last piece that I want to share out is this vision, and I think this is where the next stage is going to go. So Kelly, this is sort of like the opening conversation, and the next piece is really trying to chunk out what some of those goals are, because everyone has overlap in these areas of the work. The mission is being driven by Jewish identity and connection and community and social connections. All of a sudden we're looking at raising Jewish families, we're raising middle schoolers into teenagers. And so we need to move it to the next level, which is really thinking about what is our vision for this work. Is our vision that JumpSpark can be a hub for Jewish life, a hub for resources on identity development, a hub for these things. And you'll see in the diagnostic tool, there's a lot of material that is there already about the ecosystem and the core and the financial system. We haven't even touched really on the teen voices. I think many of you probably have teen leaders that you're working with to elevate and to bring into this sphere. And that would be the next phase here. So some of the shared goals, if you want to give a quick try at it, some of those shared goals would be that next step of how are we going to continue to bridge these connections to each other and weave this network, whether it's through the actual work and collaborative efforts that you do, or whether it's nominating teens to be involved in the next level, which would be teen voices and pieces there. And I want you to I'm going to throw it back out to you. I'll open the mic. If anybody has anything to say about our sort of shared pieces here. When you look at the work that you're doing, if our stars were aligned and money was no object, where could we go?
I think one of the things that I noticed, which now that I see, did anybody notice, now I don't have it up because now I'm back to gallery view, teen leadership development, because that's a big part of our shared, I feel like, our shared goal in like creating the future.
Are you asking in the sustainability diagnostic?
No, I'm talking about in what
we put up. No, I don't think anybody said that.
Yeah, and it made me realize that that's something that that we want to, I think, focus on our shared goals of that, because we're all in that, to create a love and engagement and have them stay in this world, and become stronger leaders with the values that they're learning on Edgar and all these things. It's a very big part of our shared goals.
Very much. Very much. And if you look at the business of what each of you are actually already doing, the connections that you're making, the professional development and service opportunities, joyful, Jewish, and fun, these are all pieces of not just the social life of teens in the community, game nights, hobbies, educational trips. Those are all about developing the teens in your community, developing them into future leaders. I know we're at the hour, so I want to acknowledge that, and I see that this is really the beginning of a deeper conversation, and I will do my best to follow up with Kelly and with the JumpSpark team to make sure that you have what you need to have as you move into this next stage, but opening up the dialogue to really understand where the overlap is, where you're weaving your network, and what this looks like, and how you can continue to grow the work that you're doing both with each other and independently. You should feel very, very proud of the extraordinary efforts that you have already accomplished getting to this point, and to see with hope and optimism what lies ahead. So I hope that you've enjoyed this insight as much as I have. And I'm going to stick around for a few more minutes. For those of you who have to jump, please do, but be in touch. Let me know how we can continue this dialogue.
Thank you so much, Leslie, for leading us through this conversation. I think it gave us all a lot of food for thought as we really are embarking on this, and we'll sit with it. And then hopefully all of you will come back again next week. We do not have a speaker coming next week. It will just be us, but we can dig a little bit more into this work together next week and continue just to relationship build, share resources, and continue to really think of this group as a shared network that is working together for a shared goal, even as we're kind of defining what that is. So thank you to Leslie. Thank you to all of you for coming, and happy Tu B'Shvat. And I'll see you all next week.
Thank you.
I'm going to stick around for a few seconds if you want to hang out. Kelly, are you jumping? Are you jumping into another
I
meeting?
do have to jump in just a second because I already got the notification that the next person has joined the Zoom meeting for my next meeting, because that is the way my day goes, is I just get notifications that that's how I got to you.